Right, we are going, my lovely.
Right then, so a few hours later we're a little bit advanced now. So you saw me doing all this. I've taken some of that and mixed some of darker shades into it, which are these here. If you can see that, are they in the light that way?
No, they're about
Alright, and so now I'm laying in some. I've just added white to this to bring it a little lighter, and I'm just laying in with a very, very fine, if you can see this, it's just slightly thicker than a gnat's whisker, and it's this that I use to sort of start marking in glints and highlights as to where my water is going to be, and with all the various glints. And if you see, it's really good for picking up little highlights and things like that. This is how we build. This is, you can see now how I actually start building water. One of the things I can show you is when I do ripples. Take a shade like that, for example. Take my knife, same knife, clean it off. Take some of this into some of that. Mix a light shade with it like that. So it's got something more of it. It's got a lot of grain. Maybe got. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll mix you some fresh. It's not be cheap here. Look, there you go. Some of that. Some of that. Some of that. Into some of this. Okay, that's got basically that shade there, right? So watch now. If you start off down here, you can move, you know. Can you film that? Okay.
Yes, okay.
Right. Okay. You can see where I start to. If you notice, I start making a lot of crisscrosses. Well, this is how I do water. It's literally just an awful lot of very patient work with this, and this is where a lot of people would never ever be able to do this, because quite honestly the patience factor is everything. But this is where we start to build. Just wiggle that along, and it's here, this is where we start to build our water effects. Some of it is fine lines, some of it is very thin. Alright, and we just do this now. And watch carefully, we cross them. These lines cross and touch one another. It's very important they do this, because that is what happens in water itself. They crisscross, they have different light strengths. Can you see how we crisscross these? It's almost like you're letting your nervous impulses and twitches do the guiding for you, but this is how it goes. It is literally like drawing waves when you were a kid, except that we're doing them in a bit more of a tricky bit where we have to readjust the canvas here. I've got to put that on there, lock that down. This is where we start. It's actually very relaxing doing this. But there it is. You can thicken it up a little bit there. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover the whole of our canvas. The whole of this foreground is going to be covered in these. And you know, if we do this, it looks no, it doesn't work. It looks like worms or something. So we nick it and we cross it, and we let some run thicker like that and some thin, but it is all to do with working very, very neat and very, very sharp and very, very fine. And then we can, excuse me darling, we can vary these with thicker, thinner brushes. this is kind of how it's done. This is what I did with Hotgood's Courageous Run. It's all building up. These glints and these darks and these shades and these dip dots all lead up to doing. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is another little tiny brush. I'm doing things like that and just letting the thing nick over it and wander over it and doing little spots and dots and highlights. And
I think the battery's going.
Oh, don't edit my films like that. Okay. There we go, and this is just getting the water started. And what I'll do is I'll bring it in from about here and then just run it until it fades out, and then the same again, and just crisscross it and let that run a little while. But there it is. This is kind of how you can see the sort of how the water starts to get little effects, little nicks off it, little highlights off it. Here we go. It's kind of like your backlighting. It's a kind of a backlighting effect, and it's one that works very, very well for this kind of work. Can you see that, how that's thickening, and then so you get that a bit of movement, a bit of fluency, a bit of motion in the thing. And you take it right out to here where you get some kind of like a back reflection. And just really that. It's no, you know, there is white in it, but it's all mixed and muted and taken down. You don't. The last time you cannot get lighter than a white straight out the tube. So you have to pitch your colour so that when you come to use unmixed white out the tube, it is the most brilliant, lightest, whitest thing there is. And you have to make it that way, otherwise it will just die a death. And that's why a lot of artists avoid painting water, because it takes a great deal of subtle control of your shades down in order to make a light really stand up. That's the trick of it. Putting it into practice is another thing entirely. So there it is, and you can see now how can you see now this effect of building chops and building swell and moving wave and what have you. But this is how I will build my water, just like this. Okay, since then I've been added all this in. As you can see, I did headland. All this really is taking that shade and adding more. I had a crimson and a shade called burnt umber, which is a dark tawny orange. That makes grey without it turning purpley, overly purpley grey. And that's how we control things like that. And then, so this is my trick with water, and is to take all these factors that we've mixed and painted. This is by no means finished. This is just marking it down, building a mist. There was a mist, fog that built up in the valleys of the Rhine and of the dams area. When they attacked the Sorpe Dam, that was almost enveloped in fog. So it shows you that you know, a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of thinking and a little bit of research into what was actually there, and what was apparent, and then how we render it and how we interpret it and how we do. Okay, and that's really all this painting will be from here on in. is all of this and that, and then all this needs shading and detailing. You see I marked a cloud in there. That is not how it will be, but I just marked that for shade. It's all about painting a head. You have to paint one thing and think your head, so you're always working towards a conclusion rather than oh god, how do I do this now and where. No. Nothing here is happenstance or just entirely left to happy accidents. Those are a bonus. If there's an accident that takes place and it's really, really good, it's an effect that's not planned for that really works, you keep that in. Only a fool breaks a happy accident. But for the rest of it, it's this. It's lots and lots and lots of very, very patient brushwork. Fine, controlled brushwork. There's really, really nothing more I can show you than this. There is only one way to get the effect that I know of, and that's, if you take it out even further, use it like a fine brush like that, and then you're doing this. I mean, you're down to dots and little, and little splotches like that. And this is just where the light is just catching it. It's just catching the motions and the moments of the water. The only way you can learn to do this is to go out to rivers and streams and the shores at night and watch how water behaves in the dark and how we get this effect. There's no other way to describe it. There's no other way to do it. It's kind of like the Rolf Harris "Can you tell what it is yet?" school, but it works. It works. This is how, how we build. This is how it's how I build water. Whether it should be calm, mill pond, streamy water like this, or if you're doing a seascape with the big towering, powering waves. But generally speaking, calm water is just lapping along with these little highlights and dots and moments like this. And you can see now how, as we go along, we link these dots, and they become linked to what it is that we are doing. This really is like, it's not like painting join the dots. This is like you have to make your own dots and then join them up.
Right, do you want to watch this back?
Yeah, is that done?
Yeah.